Right then, Hollywood loves selling you the story of its golden age. Grand. They want you to remember the glamour, the big song and dance numbers, the happy endings, all the glitter.
Yes.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Again.
But the real story, the one from the late 60s, is how the whole rotten empire came crashing down, one high kick at a time. Come here to me and I'll tell you about the film that buried the musical, a beautiful, stylish, expensive corpse called Sweet Charity. See, by 1968 the old studio system was bleeding money, the ground was shifting, the kids wanted Easy Rider, not this.
Not like this. Not like this.
But Universal Pictures, they were still thinking in the old ways. They saw the fortune the Sound of Music had made and they thought, we'll have one of those. They were on their last legs, creatively speaking. So they decided to bet the entire farm on one last colossal musical epic. So grand, so stylish, so modern, it simply couldn't fail. On paper, you couldn't fault it. They took a hit Broadway show. They got the biggest choreographer in the world, a fella named Bob Fosse, a genius who had notions about himself wanting to be a big shot film director. This would be his first go. And to make sure he didn't mess it up, they gave him a budget big enough to choke a donkey. The talk was $20 million. 20 million in 1968 money. For a first-time director, they paired him with a massive star, Shirley MacLaine. What could possibly go wrong? A brand new director, a bleak story about a dancehall girl, and the biggest budget in the studio's history. A perfect recipe for success. A grand start. The first problem, the one they all just papered over, was the story. This wasn't Oklahoma. This yoke was based on a heavy-duty Italian film, Nights of Cabiria, by Fellini. About well, let's be blunt, about a prostitute. A woman who gets used, abused, and kicked in the teeth by life over and over again, and just keeps bouncing back with this manic optimism. On Broadway, it worked. Just about. Fosse's wife, the brilliant Gwen Verdon, she was the original Charity, and she had that magic, that toughness, that vulnerability. You believed her, but the studio got nervous. The suits, the Gombeen men at Universal, they looked at Gwen Verdon and said, she's a Broadway star. She's not a movie star. Fosse fought for her, he begged. This was his wife, the woman who was the part. But the studio said no, they wanted a name. They wanted insurance for their 20 million quid, so they went and got Shirley MacLaine. Now, nothing against Shirley, she's a massive star, a huge talent, but she's bubbly.
Oh, okay.
She's America's sweetheart. She wasn't Gwen Verdon. The studio thought they were buying insurance. What they were really doing was cutting the heart out of the yoke before they'd even built it. Fosse was angry. MacLaine knew Fosse was angry, and she knew he'd wanted his wife. Grand. What a lovely atmosphere for day one. And then you had Fosse. Bobby Fosse. A certified genius on the stage, no doubt, but this was film, and he was like a kid in a sweet shop. A sweet shop where every single sweet costs 100 grand. He had all these notions about how to make it cinematic. He wanted to show everyone he wasn't just a stage guy. So he grabbed every new trick in the book. Jump cuts, freeze frames, snap zooms, all the way in till you could see the fillings in their teeth. He wanted to break every rule. And Universal, desperate for a hip new classic, just kept signing the checks. More zooms, Mr. Fosse? Grand. You want a freeze framer in midair? No problem. A helicopter shot of a marching band in Manhattan? Why not?
Why not?
You want to know where the money went? Come here, to me. Let's look at one number. One dance. The Rich Man's Frog. It's brilliant, yeah? It's iconic now. We see it in clips. It's 3 minutes of people in a very expensive nightclub, looking miserable and twitching like they're all getting electrocuted. Fosse spent weeks on it. Weeks on 3 minutes of film. He obsessed over every single flicker of an eyelid, every bent finger. He had the set built and rebuilt.
Are you crazy?
The costumes alone, all the black and white feathers and beads, probably cost more than my first house. He was painting his masterpiece with a fire hose full of money. The studio suits would come down, watching these pale-faced dancers shivering like they were having fits, and they'd look at each other. Is this good, Bob? It's a bit weird. And Fosse, pure head, the ball when it came to his art, would just nod and say, "It's cinema," and ask for more film. An absolute circus. This is the kind of carry-on that was going on every single day. Fosse, being a stage guy, was used to rehearsal. He'd rehearse and rehearse and rehearse.
How much more of this?
But on a film set, every second is money. A stage rehearsal costs you the price of the room. A film rehearsal costs you the salary of 200 crew members, the cameras, the location fees. He'd spend an entire day.
Wait, what?
An entire day.
What?
Just trying to get a perfect, authentic shot of MacLaine walking down a real New York street. He wanted the real New York, so they'd shut down half of Manhattan. Cabs honking, people cursing them, thousands of dollars ticking by, and he'd be there, crouched over the camera. No, 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 the light's not. Sad enough. Away with the fairies. It's a walk, just walk. But no, this was art. He was inventing a new language apparently, a language that cost about 10 grand a word. But here's the real hames they made of it. The film is at war with itself. The tone is an absolute dog's dinner. One minute you've got, hey, big spender. A brilliant, cynical, hard as nails number. Fosse lines up the dance hall hostesses like they're meat on a rack. They're dead behind the eyes. It's dark, it's powerful. It's art. Grand. Then, 5 minutes later, you've got Shirley MacLaine bouncing around a rich fella's apartment wearing his top hat, singing "If My Friends Could See Me Now" like she's a cartoon character who's just won the lottery. It's like, which film are we watching? Is it the bleak European art film about the exploitation of women? Or is it the fluffy American musical where love conquers all? Fosse wanted it both ways. And the audience? Well, they just sat there confused, getting whiplash. And the other numbers? More money pits. Take the rhythm of life. You got Sammy Davis Jr., right? A huge star. He comes in for one scene as this kinda hippie cult leader. Grand. But Fosse, he can't just film a fella singing a song. No, it has to be an opera. He builds this massive psychedelic church set. He's got hundreds of extras in robes. He's got smoke machines, trippy light shows. It's pure devilment. It cost a fortune. It took forever to shoot. And it's 5 minutes. In a film that's already dragging its heels at over 2.5 hours, it's a great 5 minutes. Sammy's brilliant, but it's in the wrong film. It's like finding a diamond in a bowl of cold porridge. You're just confused.
No idea.
Then, oh, I'm a brass band. Stop the lights. This is near the end. Charity's had her heart broken again. She's at her lowest ebb. She's been tossed aside. So what does she do? She imagines she's leading a massive, full-scale 100-piece marching band through the streets of New York. And Fosse, acting the maggot on an epic scale, decides to actually film a 100-piece marching band in the streets of New York. The logistics. The cost. Shutting down Times Square. Or near enough. For a fantasy sequence that just hammers home how, well, how away with the fairies the main character is. The studio is bleeding dry, and Bob Fosse is playing toy soldiers with a real marching band, all while his leading lady is meant to be having a complete mental breakdown, an absolute hames. And you have to feel for Shirley MacLaine in all this. She's a pro, she's given it her all. She can sing, she can dance, she can act, but she's stuck. Fosse, probably missing his wife, is drilling her on this choreography that is not her style. It's all sharp angles and broken limbs and isolated twitches, and she's all bubbly and fluids. So you can see the strain, you can see her counting the steps. She's concentrating instead of performing, and she's stuck in this impossible role. She's playing a dance hall hostess, a taxi dancer, but the film, in its big budget Hollywood way, is terrified to say what she really is. So she's this weird, chaste prostitute?
Well, there it is.
A dance hall hostesses who's just hopelessly naive and optimistic? It makes no sense. The whole character is a lie. She's an Egypt. And no amount of brilliant dancing can cover up the fact that the central yoke of the film is broken. And then, the ending. Oh, the ending was the final nail. In the original Fellini film, the fella she falls for, her one true love, he takes her to a cliff, tells her he loves her, then pushes her in a river and steals all her money. It's brutal.
Brutal, savage, wrecked, absolutely taken down.
It's life. On Broadway, they softened it. He just leaves her. But he leaves her, and she picks herself up and walks off, and you think, alright, she'll be okay. But in the movie, oh, stop the lights. Fosse didn't know what to do. The studio was terrified of the downer ending. They begged him for a happy one. $20 million, Bob! You can't just leave her in a ditch! So they shot two endings. One where he leaves her and she's left heartbroken in the park. And another alternate ending where she's in the park and she meets, wait for it, a fairy godmother type figure, and it's all happy clappy. They tested them both. The audiences hated both of them. They hated the sad one because it was, well, sad, and they hated the happy one because it was pure all guff and made no sense. They'd just spent 2.5 hours watching this woman's life be a complete dog's dinner, and now we're supposed to believe a mime in the park is gonna fix it? It was a disaster. They were stuck.
It's a disaster, man. We gotta stop it.
They had a $20 million yoke, and it didn't even have an ending people could stand. So, Universal, with this 3-hour, tonally confused, overly stylistic, expensive monster on their hands, what do? They double down. They release it as a roadshow. Oh yeah, hardback souvenir programs, reserved seating, an intermission, like it was Gone with the Wind or something. They were selling arrogance. They were telling you, this isn't just a film, it's an event. But the word got out. People went in expecting the sound of music and got a bleak existential drama, punctuated by some admittedly brilliant but very weird dancing. People walked out. During the intermission, they paid top dollar, sat through the first half, and just left. It was a humiliation. The film didn't just bomb, it cratered. It lost Universal a fortune and became a punchline. So what killed Sweet? Charity? Was it Shirley MacLaine? Was it Fosse's notions? Not just that, the film was a war against common sense. It was the old studio system, the big bosses in their big chairs trying to buy cool. They thought if they threw enough money at Broadway they could import a hit. They didn't understand the talent, they didn't understand the story, and they didn't understand that the audience wasn't buying what they were selling anymore. It's a monument to pure Egyptry. The studio was a bloated, rotten ship, and this film wasn't just an iceberg, it was a $20 million torpedo they fired at themselves.
Do we have a problem? Huh?
As me all fella used to say, a nod is as good as a wink to a blind horse. And they were all blind, deaf and dumb to the fact that the party was over. The 60s were done, the old school musical was dead, and this was just the expensive, glittery wreckage. So now you know the real story. That's the dirt from the cutting room floor. Right, I'm off. Sloncha.